Hi, and welcome to the Christian Gamer channel. I'm Paul, and I'm using this space to share my insights from the Bible. I want to be clear right up front. I don't claim to have any special authority. I'm not a pastor, a theologian, an apostle, or anything special. I'm just an ordinary person who reads their Bible and wants to share what I've learned with the wider community. Because of that, your personal insights are absolutely no less valid than mine. I strongly urge you to join the conversation. If you disagree with anything I've said, or if you want to add something you think I've missed or glossed over, you are actively encouraged to do so. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments or even share a link to your own video. I know sharing biblical insights can be intimidating, especially in an age where simply trying to tell the truth can risk persecution or the fear of it down the road. But remember, God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but of power and love and self-control. So let's not be afraid to stand firm and share our faith and insights with courage. Okay, let's do this. And for this day 13 of Advent, we're looking at the triumphal entry, and that's in Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9. The King James Version reads, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation, lowly and riding upon an ass, and upon a colt, the foal of an ass." And the English Standard Version reads, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. Righteous and having salvation is he, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." And the New International Version reads, "Rejoice greatly, daughter of Zion. Shout, daughter of Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." Okay, so the key elements of the prophecy: the command to rejoice. The cities of Zion, Jerusalem, are called to great celebration because their king is arriving. This king is not a conquering general of the world's type, but is a source of joy. The king's character: he is described as righteous and having salvation, or triumphant and victorious, which also includes bringing salvation and deliverance. The king's reign will be characterized by justice and the deliverance of his people. And then there's the king's humility. The most striking and specific detail is that he is humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. In the ancient Near East, a king or dignitary riding a horse symbolized war, military conquest, and power. Riding a donkey or a mule often symbolized a peaceful mission, civil authority, or coming in peace. This prophecy presents a stark contrast to the mighty world conquerors of the time, like Alexander the Great, whose conquest had recently swept the region. The Messiah's coming is not a display of military aggression, but one of gentle, peaceful, and humble authority. And we're back to the Messianic Apocalypse, which we'd probably know by now, 4Q521. This text, dated to the mid-Second Temple period, links themes of messianic deliverance with ideas found in Isaiah and Zechariah. Although it doesn't directly quote Zechariah 9:9, it shows a widespread expectation of a king who would bring deliverance and peace. And the Targum on Zechariah, which dates to the 1st century of the Common Era, or the 1st century AD, perhaps the most explicit pre-Christian confirmation comes from the Targums, which are authoritative Aramaic paraphrases of the Hebrew Bible that were read in the synagogues. The Targum Jonathan on the prophets, which reflects early Jewish interpretation, makes the identification clear. The Targum paraphrases Zechariah 9:9, referring not just to a king, but explicitly to your king, Messiah, comes. This shows that the Jewish tradition already understood the king described in the prophecy as the one who is righteous, has salvation, and rides on a donkey, as the Messiah king. And in the Talmud, later rabbinic sources compiled after the destruction of the Second Temple, continue to cite the verse as messianic. The Talmud, specifically the Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Sanhedrin 98a to 99a, discusses Zechariah 9:9 in relation to the Messiah's coming, the paradoxical coming. The Talmud grapples with the seeming contradiction between two messianic prophecies. Daniel 7:13, the Messiah coming with the clouds of heaven, a glorious sudden supernatural appearance, and Zechariah 9:9, the Messiah coming lowly and riding upon an ass. Rabbi Joshua's resolution. The Talmud resolves this by suggesting the manner of his arrival is conditional upon Israel's merit. If they are meritorious, he will come with the clouds of heaven; if not, lowly and riding upon an ass. The significance. The very fact that the Talmud uses Zechariah 9:9 as the humble counter-prophecy to the glorious one from Daniel proves that the verse was unanimously recognized as a core messianic text in Jewish thought. Turning to the Midrash, Genesis Rabbah, Genesis 49:11, this passage speaks of Judah binding his foal to the vine and his donkey's colt to the choice vine. Genesis Rabbah explicitly links this early prophecy to Zechariah 9:9, stating that the mention of the donkey's colt in Genesis refers to that time when he will come, of whom it is written in Zechariah 9:9, humble and mounted on a donkey, even on a colt, the foal of a donkey. This shows the tradition recognized the donkey imagery as a signpost for the coming Messiah. Turning to the New Testament, Matthew 21 verses 1 to 5 in the King James Version reads, And when they drew nigh unto Jerusalem, and were come to Bethphage unto the Mount of Olives, then sent Jesus 2 disciples, saying unto them, Go into the village over against you, and straightway ye shall find an ass tied, and a colt with her; loose them, and bring them unto me. And if any man say aught unto you, ye shall say, The Lord hath need of them, and straightway he will send them. All this was done that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, Tell ye the daughter of Zion, Behold, thy king cometh unto thee, meek, and sitting upon an ass, and a colt, the foal of an ass. Now John 12:12 to 15 reads, in the King James Version again, On the next day much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, took branches of palm trees, and went forth to meet him, and cried, Hosanna, blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. And Jesus, when he had found a young ass, sat thereon, as it is written, Fear not, daughter of Zion, behold, thy king cometh, sitting on an ass's colt. So donkey, colt, or both? There has been much debate and confusion amongst Christians about what this passage means. Was Jesus riding on a donkey, or the donkey's colt? Zechariah 9:9 implies that there was one animal, a young colt, the foal of a donkey. However, Matthew explicitly mentions there were two animals, a donkey and a colt, while John only makes mention of one animal. This is not a contradiction, but a shift of emphasis based on the point the author was trying to make. Matthew wanted to remind the reader of the prophecy in Zechariah 9:9, emphasizing that Jesus was the fulfillment of this prophecy, and the mention of both animals just adds emphasis to this passage. Some people ask, how can Jesus have ridden both animals at the same time? The answer, of course, is he did not. He would have ridden the colt to fulfill the scripture, but then transferred to the adult donkey, which was almost certainly the colt's mother, after a short while, to prevent the colt from getting tired or injured. John omits the two-animal ride because he was focusing more on the people waving palm branches and singing the words of Psalm 108:25-26. For anyone who doesn't know, Hosanna means save us. So if you read Psalm 118 verses 25-26 and it says save us, not Hosanna, Hosanna and save us, it basically mean the same thing. The palm branches are from Leviticus 23:40, where palm is used in worship during Sukkot, that is the Feast of Tabernacles. After the Jewish victory over the Seleucids in the 2nd century before Christ, palms were waved to celebrate military triumphs. You can see that in 1 Maccabees 30 verse 51. They became a symbol of Jewish independence and hope for messianic deliverance. Furthermore, in Greco-Roman culture, palms symbolized victory and celebration. Waving them was like cheering on a conquering hero. John was essentially tying together Zechariah 9:9, Leviticus 23:40, and Psalm 118 verses 25-26 with the tradition of celebrating a triumphant king's military victory to emphasize Jesus as the fulfillment of multiple messianic hopes, all in one account. Both John and Matthew were telling their readers that Jesus is the promised Messiah, but they were going about it in different ways. Which brings us to my lessons, and again I want to reiterate these are only my lessons. If you have different lessons, please feel free to leave them in the comments. So the first lesson is horse or donkey. The world looks at the outward trappings, expecting the conquering king to come in triumphal procession, riding on a stallion in full armour and pageantry. Jesus came on a donkey in humility. As Christians, are we tempted to give more respect to people who have a nice home, a fancy car, wear fancy clothes, or do we look at the heart of humility and honour most the people who are serving others and making personal sacrifices for other people? And the next lesson is Jesus as the conquering king triumphantly entered Jerusalem on a donkey, a sign not only of his fulfillment of the messianic prophecy, but of his humility. Let us not boast of our accomplishments or make a spectacle of our acts of righteousness, but rather let us do our good deeds in secret and maintain an air of humility and servitude in our dealings with people. And finally, let us be joyful. Just as the people of Jerusalem welcomed Jesus with palm branches, singing and rejoicing, let us especially at this time of year remember the birth of Christ with singing and joyfulness, and let us spread seasonal cheer in these dark times and take advantage of every opportunity to spread the good news. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Don't forget to leave a like or subscribe even as well. And if you have any questions, concerns, things you want to add, things you think I should have said differently, please feel free to leave your comments. And I will look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video.